Hi there everyone, I'm your host Wolf. I'm glad to have you here and thank you for joining me for our next episode in the Rimworld playthrough. Last time, before we left off, a single pirate tried to attack our colony. However, Fern and Zella showed her women business and killed her without breaking a sweat. Shortly after fueling the generator, Fern decides that it's about time that we give a name to our faction and our settlement. So, from this moment onwards, we will be known as the Beasts, and this place shall be called Wolf's Den. At this point, I noticed that Frankie the Warg was sick with the flu, and that we didn't have any herbal medicine in store. So I decided to look nearby for an immature heal root and gather it. To start building the kitchen, we're going to need more wood, because we used it all on the dining room. So here we are marking the biggest trees for chopping. We are also going to mark a 5x5 zone to start planting summer ice. While we are waiting for the colonists to gather the wood we need, we're going to use this time to start placing the blueprints for our kitchen. Since we are already generating electricity and we got enough components in store, it is both wise and efficient to install an electric stove instead of a fueled one. The next item on our agenda is to build personal rooms for our colonists. However, this objective is quite a bit way off, so we're going to place 3 temporary beds in our sleeping shelter, so at least the colonists won't sleep on the ground anymore. After planning for a while, I have decided that each personal room shall have the following layout. It will have an interior space of a 5x4, which will contain a double bed, an end table, and a dresser. In addition to these items, it will also have a light and some decorations. The personal rooms are going to be part of a residential block, which is going to be built opposite the kitchen. As the first step to start building a supply of food, I am issuing orders for our colonists to harvest the berry bushes which are fully grown. Compared to the other ones, the fully grown bushes should yield the most amount of food. Later, I have noticed I had forgotten to set the cooler's temperature. For the freezer, I like to set it at -18 degrees. With Fern having finished the final bed, it is about time that we get rid of the sleeping spots. In an attempt to hasten the collection of the berries, I had to reorder Snail's work priorities. Sometime later during the same day, a bulk goods trader from the Sango of the Bluff approaches our settlement. Meanwhile, while the berry collection is progressing steadily, I issue our first cooking order. I set it to start producing simple meals until we are able to store 10. This means that our colonists will try to have 10 simple meals in store at all times. With his new orders, Zella immediately starts cooking. With the caravan having arrived in our base, I am currently looking for the colonist who has the highest social skill. This turns out to be Snail, and so she will be the one who will do the trade negotiations. The caravan wasn't interested in buying anything from us. On the other hand, we were interested in food, mainly pemmican. I was tempted to buy their whole supply of pemmican. However, this would leave us with little silver. So in the end, I decided to buy half of it. After the trade is sealed, I create a new food restriction, naming it Standard. This basically allows the colonists to only eat prepared meals, apart from any packaged survival meal. However, due to the shortage of food, I don't apply it to any of the colonists yet. I've spent the remainder of the evening marking some animals to hunt, some trees to chop down, and as you can see here, placing the blueprints of the personal rooms. During that same night, we also decide to place down a new 5x5 growing zone in which we decide to plant some potatoes. Early the next day, our colonists who are currently building the personal rooms bid farewell to the traveling caravan who is about to leave to continue their journey. I have decided to move the normal quality beds into the personal rooms, while leaving the awful one in the sleeping shelter. The sleeping shelter will then be transformed into a prison. At this point, we have to place down a door for each room and another bed in the last room. Since we are having issues with the supply of food, I am changing Snail's top work priority to that of planting new crops. Another source of food is that of hunting animals. Apart from marking new ones, I am making it Zella's top work priority. The next day kicks off with Zella hunting a rat, Snail feeding it to the poor sick warg Frankie, and the changing of the sleeping shelter into a prison. As a temporary measure, we're going to place a research bench in the dining room, so we can have one of our colonists doing some research to the side. With the personal rooms built, it makes sense to remove Frankie's sleeping spot from the prison into Fern's room, with whom he shares a bond. It looks like Frankie has managed to develop immunity for flu. This means that he is on his way to recover completely from the illness. While I was about to mark some trees for chopping, I see Zella returning happily from his hunt with raccoon in his hand. Well done, Zella. With winter closing in and our food stores almost empty, we're going to have to make good use of the time that's left. So we're going to place a new 5x5 growing zone in which we're going to grow some strawberries. Since the personal rooms have no light, we're going to place a standing lamp in each room and make an electrical connection directly from the generator. The project of installing electrical lights is going to be extended to the kitchen. No chef should ever cook in the dark, least of all Zella. With Fern finishing the research bench, we now have to choose our first research technology. This is going to be batteries, because we need them to store the surplus electricity which we are generating. For now, Snail, when she's not growing any new crops, she's going to be the one who's doing all the research. In this episode, even though we did manage to make some progress with the food situation, we're still miles off from our objective. In the next one, we should try to help Fern, Zella and Snail secure more food. Thank you all for joining me, I'll see you soon. Take care, beasts.